In the blood-soaked battlefields of feudal Japan, warriors died young. It was a time when honor was worth more than life, and death was not just expected, it was embraced. But there was one man who would not bow to death. A samurai who bled, who fell, who was left for dead. Yet each time returned. Shot with arrows, slashed with swords, drowned in icy rivers, and still, he rose again. This is his story, the legend of the samurai who defied death. To understand his legend, you must first understand his world. Japan, late 1500s. The country was split apart by endless civil wars. Warlords, known as daimyo, battled for power. Castles burned, villages starved. And the samurai, they were the sharp edge of this chaos. Bound by Bushido, the way of the warrior, they lived, fought, and died in service to their lords. In this world of fleeting lives and brutal ends, one man began to stand out, not for unmatched skill with the blade, but for something far rarer: survival. His first death came in the winter of 1575. His unit was ambushed in the snow, outnumbered, surrounded. He fought until an arrow tore through his chest, another through his leg. A spear rammed into his side, twisting, pulling, leaving a wound no man should live through. He collapsed into the red snow, the world fading to black. When it was over, the enemy dumped his body in a shallow grave. 3 days passed. A villager walking the road saw something moving in the distance. A figure, limping, covered in blood. It was him, barely breathing, whispering only, "I still have work to do." Years later, under the cover of night, he was leading a raid against enemy forces. But the attack went wrong. From behind, a blow to the head, a flash of pain, then water. He had been thrown into a freezing river, weighed down by the heavy plates of his armor. The cold pierced him like 1,000 knives. The current pulled him under. His attackers watched from the shore, until the bubbles stopped. Hours later, miles downstream, he washed ashore, half-conscious, barely alive, still gripping his sword so tightly that his fingers had to be pried from the hilt. When his comrades found him, he rasped through blue lips, "The gods have not called me yet." The stories began to spread. Enemies whispered that he was a yurei, a spirit of vengeance that could not be killed. Others believed he had made a secret pact with the kami, the divine spirits of Shinto, who had chosen him for some greater purpose. Each battle brought new scars. In one fight, a blade slashed across his neck so deep that most believed no man could survive the night. Yet weeks later, he appeared on the battlefield again. His voice was now hoarse, his breathing heavier, but his eyes burned brighter than ever. When asked why he kept returning to battle despite his wounds, he simply said, "If I am meant to die, it will not be today." In the year 1600, the great warlord Tokugawa Ieyasu was preparing for the battle that would decide Japan's future. But to do so, he needed time. Time that could only be bought with lives. The samurai took that burden. At Fushimi Castle, he commanded just 2,000 men, against an army of more than 40,000. The siege began. For 10 days, arrows rained down, cannons roared, and wave after wave of soldiers crashed against the walls. The defenders fought like demons. The samurai was everywhere, rallying his men, striking down attackers, standing on the ramparts even when the air was thick with smoke and ash. On the 10th day, the gates were smashed. The enemy poured in. Surrounded, outnumbered 20 to 1, he fought until his body was a map of wounds. When at last he fell, some swore his eyes were still open, unblinking, refusing to close. His name was Torii Mototada. To this day, historians debate how much of his story is fact and how much is legend. But one thing is certain. In a world where death came quickly and without warning, he faced it again and again, and turned it away. Some say it was skill, others, divine protection. Perhaps it was simply willpower, sharpened like a blade. And perhaps that is what made him immortal. Not that he could not die, but that he refused to.